You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So one other way that they could potentially use that pick is maybe going after a Mitchell Robinson replacement if they decide not to pursue that sort of player with the 11th pick, whether it's a falling Jalen Duren or arguably a little reach for like a Mark Williams or something like that. There's a pretty decent amount of bigs that, like centers that project to be available maybe in that like early second round range, maybe late first, but attainable range where you can make moves to get there. And the Knicks have certainly, if nothing else, proven that they're really great at navigating that like 20 to 40 range of the draft and getting right where they need to be to get the player that they want. So I'll throw three names at you. One is not generally regarded as highly as the others, but is just someone I'm curious about. But Christian Koloko out of Arizona, Ismael Kamagate out of Paris basketball, and Kai Sotto, who played in the NBL. Three centers that I've looked at and have all to varying degrees intrigued me as prospects. Where are you at on those three as, potential second round? I won't call them one-to-one Mitch replacements, but bigs that the Knicks could look to draft and use to potentially, in a way, replace Mitch's roster spot and then maybe, earn some playing time over time.
Yeah, so Kai Sotto, he's from the Philippines and he spent some time in Atlanta playing ball before going to college and decided to not go to college and instead go to the Ignite. He didn't end up playing that much for the Ignite because the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers were going on and he decided to play for the Philippines there. And then once that ended, that's when he came to the NBL. And I mean, his numbers in the NBL were kind of like pedestrian. He's pretty huge. He's like 7'2", 230, 220, something like that. He has a shot that looks like it doesn't look bad, but it don't look good either. So I think he's probably gonna go. Maybe some team takes him at the end of the second round. Maybe he goes undrafted. Who knows? But I'm not taking someone like him for if we lose Mitch. My thought process for if we lose Mitch is no rookie is going to give you what Mitch gives you right now, right? Like we saw it with Mitch. It took him 2 years to 2.5 years to even get his fouls under control. And even guys who are top 10, almost top 5 picks, think of Okongwu, think of Bam. These guys pretty much all took 3 years and they're the best centers straight up. Robert Williams didn't pop until year 3. Like now year 4, he popped again. He's really good. So you can pick somebody to replace Mitch if Mitch leaves, but if that's who's going to actually be taking Mitch's minutes, then our defense is probably going to be worse. And if the team's cool with that in the name of development, then that's fine. But I don't think they are, right? Just knowing how Tibbs is on defense and knowing the kind of centers that Perrin has liked, right? Like Gobert and Mitch and Sims and whoever, like they like guys who can hold it down. And it'll be interesting if Mitch leaves, if they dip into the trade market, right? Maybe bring Mo Bamba back home to New York or pick a free agent who's like good, but under the radar, like Isaiah Hartenstein or something. There's a lot of ways they could go. But there's no way. Like I like the other two guys you mentioned, Kamagate and Koloko, a lot more than Sotto. But even those guys, like if you're promising to start them, you're essentially promising to take a step back. You might even just pencil Sims in as the starter at that point and make them the backup because Sims has more experience than them, right? So it'll be interesting. What I like about Koloko and Kamagate is they're both long and bouncy. Both of them, well, Koloko is I think 7 feet and Kamagate is a little under 7 feet. Kamagate is definitely skinnier. Koloko is one of those dudes with real skinny legs, but super jacked upper body. So he's pretty bouncy and strong, but like his base is kind of thin. They can both shoot sort of. They can both hit free throws like 75%. They can both hit mid-range shots. I wouldn't be surprised if either of them shoots threes in time, maybe not year one, but like they definitely working with something as far as jump shot goes. Both of them were asked to do more than just catch and dunk for their teams. Koloko in Arizona with Ben Mathurin, and Kamagate with Knicks legend Kylo Quinn in Paris before I don't want to say Kylo Quinn got kicked off the team, but before they parted ways. And they're both pretty skilled in different ways. Koloko, particularly on defense, is just really skilled. Arizona was one of the best defenses, and he was a big part of that. They got a lot of great players, but he was a big part of that. And he's pretty quick on his feet, long arms, good defensive technique and awareness. So, he'll still have a learning curve like any NBA center rookie does, but he's starting from a good place. I don't think people love Mark Williams. I have them literally right next to each other on my big board. I don't think Mark Williams is definitely bigger, but it's not like Koloko is small. And to me, it doesn't I don't watch Mark Williams and say like, wow, so much better than Koloko. Like they're basically a little bit similar. One just plays for Duke and the other doesn't. And Kamagate is definitely a different type of center. Like Koloko and Mark Williams are more like Mitch, where you still, even though they're not super slow, you still want them dropping back and just putting their long arms up and, doing Brook Lopez kind of stuff. Kamagate has long arms, but he's a little skinnier, so he can get pushed around a little more, but he's way more fleet of foot. And you can credibly be like, all right, switch onto Jaylen Brown for 10 seconds. Like he's probably going to get cooked half the time, but the other guys will get cooked like 3/4 of the time. So he's more versatile, and he's almost like a 4 or 5 in that way. Because he had to actually play the 4 for Paris because of O'Quinn and this other old guy they had. So he had some reps flying out on the perimeter and doing that stuff. He's also, I guess all of them are kind of, this goes back to what I was saying about like centers just need time, is like all these dudes are kind of undisciplined, because what do you do when you're playing less talented people if you're bigger than them? You try to block all the shots and lock them up and dominate and all that stuff. And in the NBA, you're not going to do that, even if you think you want to do that, and it's just going to make you look dumb. So it takes a couple of years to iron that stuff out and learn about like decoy coverages and all this crazy stuff. So if the Knicks got Kamagate or Sotto, not Sotto, Kamagate or Koloko in the second round, that'd be super awesome as like Mitch insurance, because even if he stays, like Taj, I love him, but he is our third center and he's good, but like, is Taj Gibson more impactful on the court as a rookie than these guys? Probably, but that still could be valuable development minutes, for these guys down the line. And you're not sacrificing much because you're talking about like 5-10 minutes a game. So that's the pitch.